Welcome, and thank you for joining us today for the Associated's 2021 annual meeting. It seems like just yesterday we held our annual meeting celebrating our 100th anniversary. COVID-19 changed our plans for how we celebrated our centennial year, but it didn't change the resiliency, compassion, and resolve of the Associated Network. This fiscal year was a year filled with challenges, opportunity, and hope. We defined ourselves as a community that came together. Our agencies, our synagogues, our day schools, all of us, collaborating to make sure that everyone received the care and support they needed. This is what community does. This is what Baltimore does. This is the Associated system in action and what we are all about. We are no strangers to disaster, be it natural or man-made. Over the century, the Associated and the Jewish community of Baltimore have responded to humanitarian crises, economic downturns, and war. And we've provided aid during hurricanes, tsunamis, and earthquakes. No matter the circumstance or challenge, we were built to overcome, survive, and even to thrive. And it's the legacy set by those who came before us, the generations of dedicated leadership who have created the foundation and the capability for the Associated Network to endure.
Every generation of Jews has been both blessed and burdened with the commission of doing what is necessary in their times for the survival of our people.
We are the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, a people that has known tragedy, a people that has brought about miracles, a people that knows how to fight and how to make peace.
We do not have the luxury of despair. We have the opportunity to move forward, to get up again and again and again. That is what Jews do, and that is what we will do together.
While others talk, you do. While others curse the darkness, you light a candle.
A human being is eternal. Any human being is worthy of my attention, of my love. And therefore, I say it to you. When you enter this world and you say the world is not good today, good, correct it.
And if we stand strong, if we are beyachad, if we are together, we won't let the light go out. I plead, don't let the light go out.
We could not come together tonight without remembering those we have lost during this pandemic.
This past year was unlike any other in our history. We experienced such tremendous loss. With so much uncertainty, the emptiness we feel seemed deeper. We have lost so many educators, colleagues, mentors, grandparents, mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, and so many more. How do we grieve? And how do we heal? As we have always done, as Jewish tradition teaches us as a community, we come together, as always, to remember. Tonight, we send our support to all who have loved and lost. May their memories be for a blessing for all of us.
When we began our fiscal year in July, we were already several months into the pandemic. Many in our community were in financial distress, either out of work or underemployed. Food insecurity and abuse were on the rise. Older adults felt socially isolated, and as the months rolled on, continued isolation and anxiety would increase among teens, young adults, and others as well. Fortunately, our associated system was on the scene for the unexpected challenges that we cannot foresee. Our centralized system allowed us to respond swiftly and intentionally as we allocated our precious resources to address the most critical needs. This year, we've seen incredible dedication and compassion as together we rallied to help those who needed us most. We responded to almost 10,000 calls to the Jewish Community Services Helpline. We also watched Jewish Community Services provide more than 17,000 telehealth therapy services to support mental well-being, sessions that were not always reimbursed by insurance. Our Ghana team offered advocacy, legal advice, and counseling to victims of abuse, triple the number from last year. And through Jewish Volunteer Connection, Pearlstone, and Chai, volunteers and staff prepared and delivered over 138,000 meals and food packages to help alleviate food insecurity. The Jewish Community Center, Center for Jewish Education, and the Jewish Museum of Maryland provided invaluable content and support for those who sought connection. These numbers tell the story of our work. Yet I know it is the stories of the individuals in our community, our neighbors, friends, and families whose lives you have changed, that really inspire us. They make us realize that what we do really matters.
As they say in recovery, I hit a bottom. I hit a hard bottom. I think I was at almost a life and death situation, I think, in many ways. And it finally caught up with me on September 1, 2009. And luckily, I was guided to get into 12-step recovery. In 12-step recovery, I started sponsoring a lot of people. I was really getting fulfilled in my heart. I was looking at what I'm going to do with the rest of my life, and one of my sponsees actually suggested I become a peer recovery coach. And from the minute I walked into that building and said, "Hi, this is who I am and this is what I need," I felt like I was embraced. I was 70 years old when I walked through those doors. Jewish Community Services then got me to an incredible lady by the name of Sherry Sachs. And what was almost miraculous was how she rebuilt the resume from being a communications person into being a very personal peer recovery coach. And she took all my experience and tailored it into a resume that sparkled. You know, it really sparkled. What has also been amazing is since I've been hired at the University of Maryland, where I work in the emergency room downtown, Sherry's kept up with me. How you doing? What do you need? What can we do together? All the way through the pandemic period. I really never knew that I might need Associated services and supports. And Associated was there. If it wasn't for the dollars that people contribute to Associated, it wouldn't have been there for a guy like me and for all the other people that will walk through those doors on a daily basis. They really believed in me. That's really special.
Every day, the Associated Network is working to make sure that people have a place to turn, to get the support they need, and to know they are not alone. And the Associated helped our community connect with each other and provide resources to get through the challenging times. The teacher who was stressed from pivoting to hybrid teaching, who came to the Max Center for Jewish Education for guidance, professional development, and resources to help her handle the new normal. The University of Maryland student, quarantining because of COVID-19, who received a tender, loving COVID package from Maryland Hillel, making her feel that her school community really cared about how she was doing. The older adult struggling with social isolation, who Chai connected to a scholarship from the Baltimore County Department of Aging. That scholarship allowed her to receive a 12-month membership to the Meyerberg Center, where she participated in numerous technology, fitness, and cultural programs. The third grader, struggling with dyslexia and learning virtually, who turned to Shemesh to help him reach grade level. And then there was Mary. Her story as a victim of abuse by her high school coach actually started before COVID-19, yet found closure thanks to Hannah this year.
Looking back to what began 20 years ago, everything is so clear. I am married and have overcome leaps and bounds since the 6-year-long tragic event occurred. However, it still feels like yesterday when my teacher made his first move on me. I was a young 14-year-old girl when he began grooming me. He knew exactly what he was doing, but I was innocent and did not see what was happening. I was a shy, young, attractive, and impressionable girl. He was an attractive, older guy that was giving me attention. I felt trapped. He threatened he would kill himself if I ever told anyone or tried to get away. As a teenager, I would never want someone to commit suicide, and I was scared for my own safety. It took me years to find the courage to tell anyone what was happening. It wasn't until my abuser showed up uninvited to my college and put his hands around my neck that I decided I couldn't hold my secret any longer. I called my parents and told them I needed help. As soon as they found out, they called Hannah, who immediately began working with me and my parents to determine what to do next. It was the hardest thing I had been through in my life. The help I received from Hannah was unbelievable. For the first time in many years, I finally felt safe. I could open up and tell my story. I went to the police and shared the details of what he had done to me. He was arrested and took a plea deal ordering him to jail. When the case went to court, I read my victim impact statement. That was the most powerful thing I have ever done. This was the first time that I felt above him. I won. Now justice would be served. He would be imprisoned like I had felt I was for so many years. I am happy to have this opportunity to share my story. I survived child abuse and I am lucky. I want every girl to know that they can come out of this situation stronger than they ever thought they were. As Elie Wiesel once said, one person of integrity can make a difference.
That was inspiring. Another reminder of why we are here today, why the Associated matters, why your support of our network truly saves and enhances lives. As our year draws to a close, there is hope that we will soon return to normal, as many of us become vaccinated. Recognizing how important this was, early on the Associated and our agencies took our role as a community convener very seriously. Not only did we partner with LifeBridge Health, the Baltimore City and County Health Departments, elected leaders, and synagogues to encourage vaccinations, we also set up vaccination clinics for older adults, for the frontline workers of our agencies, and the general community. COVID-19 is not the only thing that has shaped our past year. From the rise in anti-Semitism and concerns over inequities in our society, we remain committed to standing up for what is right and just, while demonstrating that hate has no place in our world. As we face the growing tide of anti-Semitism, our Anti-Semitism Task Force mapped out a comprehensive framework focusing in on education, advocacy, and relationship building to counter hate and bigotry. Based on the recommendations of the task force, we began working closely with the Anti-Defamation League to provide a place to report hate crimes. Through the Baltimore Jewish Council and the Jewish Museum of Maryland, we continued offering Holocaust education workshops for public and private school educators throughout the state. And through the work of the Baltimore Jewish Council, we advocated for a hate crimes bill that was recently passed in the Maryland General Assembly. At the same time, guided by our principles of Tikkun Olam and Tzedakah, we continued to work toward building a thriving and just Baltimore. Baltimore is our home. Small group conversations across racial and ethnic lines were held virtually, creating mutual respect across communities. Partnerships were formed with one another and with civic groups to work together to develop a strong, healthy city and neighborhoods in places like Central Park Heights, Jonestown, where the Jewish Museum is, and Reservoir Hill, where people could successfully live, work, and play together. And recognizing the changing makeup of our own Jewish Baltimore community, we entered in dialogue to explore diversity, inclusion, and equity as we strive to be the most welcoming community we possibly can. During COVID-19, we did not forget that we are part of a global Jewish community committed to our brothers and sisters around the world. We made emergency grants through our overseas partners as we provided telemedicine equipment and financial assistance to help them pay for the mounting expenses that they could not afford. And recently, as you know, Hamas launched thousands of rockets into Israel. We were there for our Ashkelon friends, who, in direct line of rocket fire, spent much of their time seeking safety in public shelters. Reaching out through the Associated's Baltimore-Ashkelon partnership, we sent much-needed air conditioners and inflatable mattresses for use in those shelters. Knowing how important connection was during this time, our Diller teens in Baltimore held multiple check-ins with teens from Ashkelon, their friends, their family, and you joined in an effort sending heartfelt messages in solidarity with our Ashkelon family. In addition, we opened an Israel Emergency Fund, and the response from our community was once again overwhelming. Working with our partners in Israel, the Jewish Federations of North America, the Jewish Agency for Israel, the American Jewish Joint Distribution Committee, and the Israel Trauma Coalition, we were able to truly make an impact in funding for vital needs that the citizens of Israel needed. And we continue to pray for the long-term peace in the region. Know that our friends in Israel are thankful for your very generous support and for your advocacy.
קהילת בולטימור היקרה, אני רוצה לפתוח את דבריי במילות תודה והערכה. תודה לכם על הערבות ההדדית וההתגייסות למען תושבי העיר אשקלון. העיר אשקלון עברה ימים לא פשוטים במהלך מבצע שומר החומות. סבב הלחימה הקשה ביותר שידעה העיר אשקלון. 990 טילים נורו לעבר העיר אשקלון. מזה 20 שנה הסבב הקשה ביותר. תושבי אשקלון הפכו להיות החזית של המדינה, ואשקלון הפכה להיות העיר המטווחת ביותר בישראל. ספגנו אבדות קשות, הן בנפש והן ברכוש, אך למרות הקושי, תושבי אשקלון הציגו חוסן אשקלוני, שהפך במהרה לחוסן הלאומי. ובזכותכם, ידידינו היקרים, סייעתם לנו בשעה הקשה הזו, והתגייסתם מיידית עבור תושבי העיר. סייעתם לנו במצרכי חירום, במזגנים, מזרנים, והכי חשוב, תמכתם בעיר אשקלון. הערבות ההדדית והסולידריות של העם היהודי חוצת יבשות, ואנחנו תמיד שם אחד בשביל השני. השותפות בין אשקלון לבולטימור הפכה ממזמן שתי קהילות למשפחה אחת. בשם תושבי אשקלון ובשמי אנחנו מודים לכם.
On May 20th, at 3:00 p.m., 11 hours before the ceasefire, a rocket from Gaza hit our home directly and destroyed it. Me and my son I was in the shelter. My son was in the living room with the dog hiding under the stairs. Luckily, we were safe, and other than minor injury for my son, everything is okay. Thanks to the support of my friends and family here and my extended family across the ocean, we feel so much love and support. We will overcome, and thank you very much for everything that you do. We can't thank you enough.
Although the intensity and stressors of our work changed somewhat this year, it didn't change our mission to support Jewish life in Baltimore and around the world. In fact, how telling it was that this was a year when interest in Jewish life actually soared. Tens of thousands of you came out for the rich virtual offerings our agencies offered. Offerings that ranged from the Jewish Film Festival at the JCC's Gordon Center to the history and cultural programs at the Jewish Museum of Maryland. CJE Connectors brought together young families virtually as well as in small groups, with meaningful programs around holidays like Purim and Passover. Jewish Camp opened at the JCC and quickly filled up. Attendance at Pearlstone's Farm and Forest School, an immersive experience combining Jewish wisdom with nature, grew exponentially. And Na'aleh brought hundreds of you together on a journey, helping you explore your vision of what Jewish leadership looks like in our community. And how fortunate we also were to bring 6 Shinshanim Israeli teen emissaries to Baltimore, where they shared their culture and love of Israel across the generations.
The biggest difference this year is living outside of our homes and especially living in Israel. But we had the incredible chance to live with the most amazing host families in one of the most beautiful cities in all of the United States, and we had the amazing time exploring it.
This year challenged us to be more creative and to find new ways to reach people in the community. We created something called the Scene Show, a series of videos where we explained about Israel's society, food, history, and culture in a really creative way. We uploaded everything on our social media, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.
So this year we had the opportunity to stay at the houses of hosting families. We were lucky enough to learn about the American culture and about the American way of living, and we had the opportunities to bring Israel and the Israeli culture into their houses.
Throughout the year, we got to plan and carry out many different events and holidays for the community, like booklets for Hanukkah, Sukkot, and Shavuot, activities like for the Sixth holiday, the Falafel Project for Operation Dugo, and in-person events like our big Lag BaOmer celebration.
So, one of our main jobs here is in the Day Jewish Institutes, JCC, OCA, and Kiryat Shechter. We teach kids from kindergarten age until 8th graders about Israeli culture, Judaism, and Hebrew, and we will miss you so much.
In addition to regular work, we also got to teach and participate in several programs through different platforms, like adult learnings in Beth El, Chizuk Emunah, the Men's Club, and the Marburg Center, or other programs like Israel High, Shevet Achim, Dealer, ECPY, and more. There we talked about Israel through breakdowns of current events and other interesting matters.
Thank you for this wonderful experience.
Thank you for this opportunity.
We will miss you.
Thank you so much.
להתראות. Goodbye.
How exciting it was to launch the Kesher cohorts in Baltimore and Ashkelon during a pandemic, and see our local residents explore their Jewish identity and build meaningful conversations with their Ashkelon peers. How inspiring it was to engage hundreds of participants in a Maryland Israel Development Center program about business and the Abraham Accords that featured an Israeli who is one of the most prominent venture capitalists in the world. And how lucky we were to travel virtually by e-adventure to Israel through our Insight Israel Forum, getting to know the cities, the politics, and most importantly, the people. In fact, participation in Insight Israel Forum programs doubled in only its second year, as it tackled important issues like the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement on college campuses. And most impressive, when surveyed, the majority of forum attendees said the programs positively impacted their Jewish identity.
Each year, we set an ambitious goal to meet the growing and ever-evolving needs in our community. But this year was different. It was one of the most challenging years in our 100-year history, and we are blessed with some of the most compassionate and generous donors in the world. You heard the call and said, "Hineni, here I am."
Hineni, here I am.
Hineni, here I am.
Hinenu, here we are.
Hineni, here I am.
Hineni, here I am.
Hineni, here I am.
Hinenu, here we are.
Hineni, here I am.
Here I am.
Here I am.
To repair the world.
And stand up against hate and injustice.
To maintain Jewish life.
To support our homeland and Jews around the world.
To help those in need.
To inspire the next generation.
To lend my voice and inspire our children.
To say this hate must stop.
To say this hate must stop.
To say this hate must stop.
To remind us that our darkest hours have always been our finest. Hineni, here I am.
You generously gave to our annual campaign that is the lifeline and the heart of our community. And with only a week and a half left until our annual campaign closes, I am proud to announce that we are on pace to reach another remarkable resource development year. As I have said before, hopes and dreams without the financial resources are delusions. Thank you for making miracles happen. However, this year, the needs as they were mounting far exceeded what was available in our annual campaign. So we launched a COVID-19 emergency campaign, and our community answered that call as well, raising additional funds to support the specific needs brought on by the pandemic. In every generation in Jewish Baltimore, Jews safeguarded and invested in the next generation. Our Centennial Campaign, which is a robust and continuing effort, works towards this goal. Donors have continued to create endowments and legacy gifts for special programs and key capital initiatives that will ensure that Jewish Baltimore remains nimble, agile, and vibrant. This year, we launched 2 Centennial initiatives that speak to our growing priorities. In order to support our growing older adult population, Age Well Baltimore, a collaboration between Chai, Chana, Jewish Community Services, and also slated to include the Jewish Community Center and the Meyerberg Center, provides our older adults and their loved ones with the resources to support healthy aging. And Changing the Conversation, which is a multi-pronged program that will guide the Associated Network and its leaders towards understanding and acting on issues of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice. Our work is made possible thanks to the nearly 1,000 leaders who help advance the Associated Network's mission. From our fantastic development team who help to ensure that we secure the necessary financial resources to fund this vast network, to various committee chairs and agency presidents who guided their boards and task forces forward during this incredibly difficult time, we are deeply grateful for your leadership and commitment of time and treasure. We are blessed for your partnership and your ongoing support, and we're better as a community because you are present. To say the least, we are at a pivotal time. We just celebrated our 100 years. We just completed our 2020 community study, and we faced one of the largest challenges in our collective history. We want the next 100 years of the Associated Network to be robust, engaging, effective, and relevant. We are currently carving out strategies with our partners to ensure both long and short-term viability. Using the data from our community study, lessons learned through the pandemic, and our centennial anniversary that also cast light on significant issues, our network is working on a blueprint for the future. We are harnessing the moment to reimagine Jewish life with new and innovative ways to build on the great work that we have already been conducting to engage, both online and offline, so we can advance the notion that every Jew is welcome in this community. We want engagement to be on a continuum and not episodic, that people will be engaged for a lifetime. Our planning also focuses on enhancing the Associated Network's fiscal sustainability and organizational resiliency. We were tested this year, and we passed that test. However, we need to continue to plan for our future. It's our sacred responsibility. Our community study tells us that Jewish Baltimore is evolving, and so too must the Associated Network. This coming year, we will collectively move forward in making the next 100 years as strong, as vibrant, and as responsible as the first.
Before I close the meeting, we want to take a moment to reflect on those who make the Associated Network possible. It's a team of lay and professional leadership who make the system work, and we are deeply grateful to those who dedicate themselves to our mission. We're fortunate to have an incredible team of professionals throughout our Associated Network, our heroes, who are our frontline workers during the pandemic and every day. Despite their own individual challenges during the pandemic, our professional team rose up to make sure our work continued to thrive. They are the backbone of our system and our community and exhibit a dedication to our work in so many ways. A group of these amazing people, representing all of our agencies, came together to write and compose a song about what this year has meant to them. Let's listen.
What's the kind of community we'd like to create when we return?
Just really hopeful because it has knocked down some walls and opened up conversations that previously had not been had.
How I am perceived in the world and how I also treat others.
I wrote down a rhyme. Okay, so rhyme. And I think it kind of describes what we do. We're a community, don't go it alone. And always remember, our house is your home.
That's very solid.
Hello, everyone. We're so excited that you all are participating with us today. We've got distant cousins who are going to help create a masterpiece for the Associated. What's important is we're doing it together. Even though we are many agencies, we are all united. We all have the same similar goal. How can we make Jewish Baltimore and our community stronger? Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to work with all of you.
In the next hour and change, we plan to write a song from scratch with everyone from the Baltimore Associated system.
When you're sharing and trying to be creative, you sort of have to be willing to be vulnerable and open and trust the people you're with.
Let's write a song, Baltimore.
When one wall came up, many came down. Creativity, compassion to everyone around. Silver perspective as we look with new eyes, even while it's frozen. Time
last year. How have you found your sense of community? How have you struggled?
I think we were there for groups of people that really needed to come together.
Participating not only in Baltimore, not only in Maryland, but throughout the country, Canada, there is that sense of community. In some respects, it's broadened.
Well, it's a lot of different feelings that I'm having during this time. Just getting a chance to hear the need from the community members on a whole, and then being able to find ways to fill that need.
Creativity, collaboration.
We found creative ways to stay connected.
I think that people have gotten a lot more compassionate.
We had our first birthday party on Zoom, and that was really hard because we all missed huge family milestones.
Just tried to keep people's spirits up, you know.
So much good has come out of it.
Made us look at everything that we do with new eyes.
You just have to rethink about how you show people that you love them.
And there's a community relying on us.
When I look at the community's response, I see so many positives.
It's been good to kind of see the silver linings that have come out of it.
This time has also allowed us to create more personal relationships with people.
I love how everyone's talking about the connection.
Tracing the bonds between us.
It's a great community, so I'm just really thankful overall.
You can't do it alone.
This song would not have existed if not for this special meeting.
We all need each other. It takes the village.
That was fabulous and inspiring. It's my privilege to be chair of the board of this amazing organization and to work with such talented and dedicated people. I hope you feel as inspired as I do about the work of the Associated Network and know that whatever you do to support our work, you are making so much good happen for our community. Thank you for your continued support, and thank you for being a part of our Associated family. We look forward to a brighter year ahead, and hopefully we'll see you in person soon.
Yasher Koach. Hatzlacha, thank you for making this community so special.
Good night.